Of course, for many people, the image of the last Russian empress and the entire Romanov family is covered with a halo of holiness. However, in life, the wife of Nicholas II was a woman of the earth, with its advantages and disadvantages. Not only that, contemporaries considered Alexandra Feodorovna a little strange, and these quirks in her behavior were reflected not only in the manner of communication of the Empress with other people. The whole appearance of the Empress, her outfits, hairstyles, jewelry was subject to the special rules of her life. In many respects, they were conditioned by the childhood and youth of the German princess. The atmosphere of restraint, iron discipline, and Spartan living conditions. I begin, perhaps, with the fact that Princess Alex, as her future husband called her, came to Russia penniless. This young, modest, thin girl was completely poor, and all her dowry was equal to 3 simple dresses, which the bride sewed herself, and a few fake jewelry. Or rather to say, costume jewelry with stones that played the role of gems and diamonds. At home, and in the closed family circle, Alexandra Feodorovna, all her life dressed very modestly, and the same demanded of her daughters. Such strict habits, surprising many, became a kind of plume that stretched from the past of the German princess. A girl who did not know wealth, luxury, and in general material prosperity. Sadly, but from the age of 6, Alex grew up without maternal love, and the upbringing of the princess personally engaged her grandmother, a woman peculiar, the famous Queen Victoria, the reign of which became known as the era of real bourgeoisie and strict puritanical views. Gloomy dresses of inexpensive fabric, strange jewelry, instead of precious stones, for example, beetles or other insects, silence and modesty. Imagine the environment of that time. Of course, Alex adored her grandmother and considered her a mother, although outwardly she was very reserved. And now her relative has gone to the next world. Alexandra Feodorovna almost lost her senses and sobbed bitterly during the church service when they remembered her beloved grandmother. Needless to say, the entire Russian court was in a state of shock. Outwardly imperturbable, always calm, as if haughty aristocrat killed in front of everyone. Alex did not laugh at many jokes, did not recognize criticism of herself. Yes, and in general, considered her own actions ideal, and in everyday life was characterized by typical German boredom. If in the morning the Empress chose a dress for the exit, the maid of honor could not please her in the choice of jewelry. The Queen thought out her choice to the last detail. Her perfumed shoes, fan and sparkling powders had to be just perfect. Of course, if there was a dinner or a special event, a celebration. Surely you have noticed that in all the portraits and photographs of the wife of Nicholas II is not that sad, but somehow restrained or out of spirits. It is extremely rare to see a smile on her lips. The whole point is that Tsarina was a woman extremely shy. Strict puritanical upbringing left an imprint on her character. At the sight of people and communicating with them, the Queen often blushed terribly, her hands trembled. She could not always find the right words, and only the presence of her husband, whom she sincerely loved, gave her some self-confidence. By the way, her grandmother, Queen Victoria, planned a very different fate for her, and dreamed of marrying her granddaughter to the heir to the throne of England. So Alex almost became the bride of the future ruler George V, who, by the way, was not going to bestow the girl with such luxurious jewelry as the future Nicholas II. In general, the princess showed all the willpower of which she was capable and resisted the imposed engagement. But she fell in love with the heir to the Russian throne, and he responded to the German with the same warm feelings. Victoria did not like everything that was connected with Russia, and even thought, how shrewd, that in marriage with Nicholas Romanov, Victoria Alice is in real danger. Despite the trembling affection, Alex accepted the marriage proposal only at the second attempt. She was thrashing around, nervous, doubting, and when she became the wife of the Tsar, did not make a single attempt to please the Russian people. However, with the nobility, Alexandra Feodorovna behaved also not at all cordial. Thus, organizing a ball, she long crossed out of the list of invitees those who were not to her liking, looking for flaws and in the end could cross off every single one. When the ball was in full swing, the queen did not tolerate that some of the ladies looked immodest, rich, mottled with jewelry more expensive than her. The Empress strictly reprimanded the upstarts for deep necklines, emerald parures, and tiered pearl necklaces. Yes, at the time of the engagement, the future Tsarina was as poor as a church mouse. And so Nicholas Romanov showered the bride with gorgeous precious gifts. Diamond earrings and a fabulous necklace, a necklace of pink pearls and a ring of the same pearls, a brooch with expensive sapphires and a diamond scatter, an emerald bracelet and a gift from his mother-in-law, a pearl necklace 2 meters long of unprecedented beauty. Of course, Alex was insanely happy, but outwardly did not really show her feelings. She still remained strange, not only to the common people, but sometimes even to her own husband.